Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the Recollective Archive and taking a bit of a walk down memory lane for some of the free-to-play characters that have released on OPTC, and we're going to be putting them on a tier list today for some of you newer players and some of you, like, mid-game players, to sort of have an estimate or give a bit more idea on what characters are worth your time, what characters you should be unlocking with this Recollective Archive points, and where your stamina is best spent when farming up these particular characters. Now, in today's video, I am going to be covering the point farmed characters, the Coliseum characters, as well as the Clash unit. So all of the characters that you can get in the Recollective Archive, I have built into a tier list. So as you can see here, every single day you get 200 Recollective Archive points, and you can use them to unlock particular things. So there's the hard clashes, they cost 80 points. The normal clashes cost 60. Your easy clashes cost 20. Your chaos coliseums cost 100. And then your undergrounds are 50, which you don't really have to worry about too much. Your exhibitions are 20. And then you have your event characters, which are 60. And your arenas, which are 100. Now, I'm not going to touch on the arena characters. I did build them their own tier list because these characters are pretty much the best free-to-play characters you can get your hands on, besides stuff like Kazuna Clash characters, the 5+, and the treasure map units. So I built my own tier list. I'll leave a link to that in the description. But in today's video, we're going to go through all these particular characters. Now, I am going to make a disclaimer that I am going to gloss over some pretty important factors. So please, if you are an endgame player, if you play in the game for as long as I have, please let me know in the comment section below if I gloss over anything, or I miss anything, or you disagree with anything, so newer players can actually get a rough understanding of what these units do. I've been playing the game for a very long time. I've been whaling on this game for a very long time, and obviously as a whale, I don't really use these free-to-play characters too much. However, I can definitely appreciate the value of free-to-play characters, and it's a big reason why I've stuck around with OPTC for so long, because these free-to-play characters are so freaking good. Like, we have a lot of very, very good free-to-play units, and if you are a newer player, some of these characters are essential for stuff like Grand Party. Some of them are very good in Pirate Rumble. Some have great supports, and some are just really good overall units for stuff like Treasure Map and regular content. But if you enjoy this kind of stuff, belt the like button for me. If you're new to the channel or you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of the good stuff, and let's dive in. Alright, so here we are over at the tier list, and as you can see, I have a bunch of tiers here. We have the Farm ASAP tier. These characters at the top here are going to be the ones that you guys want to farm first for the reasons that I mentioned. The next one under is the Amazing Free-to-Play tier. These characters are going to be, like, very, very good, and I would definitely farm them up, but I would just prioritize this top layer a little bit more. As for great sub options, these guys will pretty much just be seen as subs. Honestly, all free-to-play characters really are, unless we're talking about stuff like Treasure Map characters, 5+ Kazuna units, like I mentioned earlier. They are, like if you got some free time and you want to do some stuff, like, these characters are going to be okay. Just support, that's it. Like, literally, just, you want their support because their support's actually quite useful and it's very, very good. That's really the only reason I want to put them on the list. And then I've got the Don't Bother tier. Now, if you guys are wondering, pause the video right here, because these characters, like, I don't see any point in farming these units. I don't really see yourself using these units for any reason whatsoever because of the power creep in the game, because rare recruits have just become so freaking powerful. However, if you are an endgame player, and I've sort of glossed over something here, and you think there is something worth noting right here in this particular tier of some of the characters I put here, please let me know in the comment section below so I can add it to the description, or I can pin the comment or something like that, because I just think that these characters are all dookie. Like, they're all whatever. Like, you're never going to use these characters. But like I said, if you guys disagree with me, or you are an endgame player and I've missed something that's drastic, please let me know. But with that said, as you can see, we have a lot of characters to talk about. Not as many as the Legend tier list that I did the other day, or the PvP tier list, but look, we still have a lot to talk about. First of all, we've got Ivankov. I'm going to put Ivankov in. Look, he's alright. Like, he's really good in PvP, but for quick units, like for quick teams, you have a lot of better options. But if you want a free-to-play option for that team, this Ivankov is actually really, really good for that. Blackbeard is going to go into Amazing Free-to-Play. Now, a lot of people used to use Blackbeard for Treasure Map as a Treasure Map HP booster, so then you could do some really cool things with Big Mom. Nowadays, you can't really do it too much. However, it is still a viable option in the early stages of Treasure Map. So I do think he's an amazing free-to-play character because of how much HP he can give. You do have the option of using something like Rare Recruit Hody though, so he's been kind of outshone, and that's why I don't really want to put him into Farm ASAP. However, In Treasure Map, he is quite a good captain because he gives so much freaking HP. Next, you got Kuma. He's a great sub option. For cerebral teams, he can rotate stuff like block orbs, bomb orbs, tandem, recovery, and then he gives an orb buff, a rainbow orb buff at 1.75. He's a pretty good sub option. He's a powerhouse cerebral character, so he goes on a lot of really good teams. He's strength, so he's a lot of viable options there. Next, we've got this Alvida. Honestly, I was going to put this Alvida in Don't Bother, but then I looked at what she does and remembered that, like, Verse Yamato is now a thing, and this Alvida works exceptionally well with Verse Yamato. She gives you 75% damage reduction and a 1.75 times orb boost to your free spirit and your cerebral characters, and with the new buff that Verse Yamato gives, that basically gives you not only an orb buff at 1.75, or sorry, at 1.5, she does a 1.75 extra damage, basically, with that damage reduction that she can provide. So it works really, really nicely. If you don't have the versatility, you definitely can use this Alvida. I don't think she's probably a great sub option, but look, she's alright. Like, you can definitely use her alongside a Yamato special if you're looking for a free-to-play option for that particular team. You're a new player, you picked up Verse Yamato, and you're wondering what subs to use there. Next, we've got Boa. This Boa is just a support. Like, that is literally it. She goes on, like, Luffy and the Boa sisters, and she gives you a chain lock if you get inflicted with a chain coefficient reduction. Sorry, she doesn't go on Luffy, she just goes on the Boa sisters, but she gives you a 2.5 times chain lock if you get the decreased multiplier status. So, fairly good support. It's just a pretty niche one for characters that don't have that much representation. Next, we've got Ace. This Ace is a very good support. He's going to be at the back end of the support because he does extra damage to Blackbeard. He was an absolute GOAT in Kazuna Blackbeard. Like, he was absolutely amazing. And supports like that don't really see too much play, but it is definitely something to mention. Next, we have Kizaru. Look, he's 8. He's a shooter fighter. He gives cooldowns. I love cooldowns. That's why he's here. But look, he's very low priority, but he's quite good for speed farming teams because he has such a low cooldown. Next, we have Shiki. 1.3 times attack booster driven on the final stage. Amazing support. Make sure to max that out. Just like Shiki, Tesoro also has a very, very good support. Goes on any Psy character, and on the final stage will rotate Psy characters' orbs into Psy, which is actually really, really valuable, to be honest, because you have so many options for said support. Going on any Psy character works amazingly, and sorry, it changes Psy characters in slots to Psy. So if you get a full board of unfavorable slots on the final stage with a Psy team, this guy on any of those Psy units is basically just going to give you a full board of orbs. This Kinemon is amazing. I don't care what anyone says. This Kinemon is probably my most used Colosseum unit in the entire game. He's Kinemon, so he has so many good support options. He has double special activation on a 5-turn cooldown. He gives 1 turn of cooldown to slashes and free spirits. He's amazing for speed farming. He works great under, like, regular Roger, if not Whitebeard and Roger. And he's definitely a really, really good speed farming option. Next, we have Frankie. Honestly, I was going to put Frankie in, he's alright, but honestly, just don't bother. Like, he's a 1.5 times attack boost, and that's pretty much it. But he does remove some very niche abilities like attack up completely, end of turn damage completely. So I guess he's alright, but like, you're only going to farm this guy if you need him for that particular purpose. Next, we've got Bellamy. Bellamy is actually an amazing free-to-play character. Really, really good in Rumble for the driven quick team because he's a driven character. He has double special activation. He gives you some matching orbs, like orbs as matching. And he also boosts orbs by 1.75. He works amazingly on some new player teams. Really, really good option with his double special activation. Makes sign in slots have matching slow effects. And he does damage, which means you can use stuff like Smoker support. He's a very, very good unit. Definitely farm him up if you're looking for some free-to-play options for your quick or driven teams. Next, we've got Fuji. He is an orb booster for powerhouse teams. Not exactly used that much anymore, but once upon a time, I used to use this Fuji a lot. As I mentioned, he just boosts orbs for powerhouse characters, as well as doing like damage to like in Psy, and he changes the Jason slots too. Alongside him, pretty much came this Sanji as well. This Sanji, these two used to work so well together on a powerhouse team. Sanji is your attack booster, Fuji is your orb booster. So if you're looking for some really good options for your powerhouse teams that are free to play, these two characters do work amazingly well with a 2 times orb and a 2 times attack boost between the two of them. Next, we've got Shiryu. Look, Shiryu's alright. Like, he gives 50% damage reduction for 3 turns. Again, can be used under Yamato, but like, he's not really those classes. He completely removes poison, but look, there's just a better in Shiryu, so we're gonna take him out. As for Kyros, he's alright. Nothing special, nothing flash. He gives a 1.5 times orb boost, and he gives adjacent orbs matching. But he's on something like a 6-turn cooldown. So he does really, really well for powerhouse and striker teams. He also has Slot Bind as his Limit Break ability, which is actually quite rare for a free-to-play character. Next, we've got Dogstorm. This Dogstorm, don't bother. Like, this dog... I don't even know why I didn't put him there. This Dogstorm you're never going to use. As for Cat Viper, though, Colosseum Cat Viper, he's a fairly solid sub option. He is down to a 9-turn cooldown, and for Striker and Powerhouse teams, he's going to change all slots, including block slots, to character's own type, and boost Powerhouse and Striker attack by 1.75. As long as the enemy is immune to delay or status ailments. He also does damage, which is quite nice. He's not like the best option for your Striker Powerhouse teams, but he's definitely a very good one. I actually use him a lot more than... I basically replaced this Sanji with this Cat Viper because of the ability to rotate orbs. However, you can use these two together on your strength teams because Kuma will rotate the orbs for you instead, and he can be your orb booster. So these 4 units just work amazingly well for Powerhouse teams. Next, we've got Colosseum Lucy. He is still an amazing free-to-play character. He's a Luffy unit, so obviously he has a lot of very, very good supports. He came out alongside Legend Lucy, and obviously the two of them can work hand-in-hand because one's Sabo, one's Luffy. He does that 20% HP up, changes the top slots into Strength, middle into Quick, bottom into Dex, and then greatly boosts side effects for 1 turn. Nowadays, actually, like, the more I look at it, he's probably not as good as this Cat Viper. Plus, you do need to have... someone that can make those orbs matching to actually get this to be super, super effective. But a character I did find him work really, really well with is actually Superclass Doflamingo. Superclass Doflamingo makes all those orbs matching, as well as Luffy triggering the Superclass condition, which is actually really, really fun. Next, we have Caesar. This Caesar, honestly, I can't even remember what Caesar does. He is the Clash Caesar. So, nothing too crazy. But he does an orb boost for 2 turns, and he poisons all enemies. Look, he's alright. Like, you're probably never really going to use him too much. Because honestly, I would just use this Kuma over him for cerebral teams. But for driven teams, you can definitely put him in there somewhere. I feel like most of the time you just be using Arena Caesar if you can farm him up. So I probably just wouldn't even bother with that unit. As for Bardo, he can give some damage reduction. He's another unit that I just wouldn't bother with. Rayleigh, however, Rayleigh's a pretty good sub option. The reason I say that is because Rayleigh's Limit Break gives him so much cooldown that he goes down to 13 turns, as well as getting the Limit Break ability that gives him 3 turns of cooldown every time someone else uses a special. He's a 1.75 times Rainbow Attack Booster, and he changes all his wraps randomly, unless the slot is matching. So that way you can just sort of rotate away some negative orbs and stuff like that, which works quite nicely. As for Pedro, he's alright. He gives a 2 times color affinity to cerebral units. That's pretty much all he does, but a 99% HP cut. Great for getting around stuff like stun. Great for those cerebral low HP captains. Rayleigh is another great sub option. The more I'm looking at this, I kind of want to bring Cat Viper up here just because he's a block orb manipulator, and I also want to bring Kuma up here. Anyone that can rotate block orbs as a free-to-play character probably should be a little bit higher in my opinion. As for Rayleigh, the reason I don't put Rayleigh in great sub option is because he makes orbs matching. That doesn't sound too crazy, but because it's for 3 turns, he basically gets around a really annoying debuff that makes other orbs unfavorable. He's a 20% HP cut and can remove Bind and Special Bind by 3 turns. Not that crazy utility, but it is quite nice utility for 2 very, very annoying abilities. Next, we've got Lucci. He's alright. He's a self-blocking conditional booster. However, you do need the enemy to have, like, I think it's something like 3 enemies. But if the enemy's immune to delay, like, you just don't ever worry about it, and he's basically just 100 times his attack in damage to 1 enemy. And there only has to be 1 enemy for him to be that self-blocking conditional boost. He does have Barrier Pen, though, which makes him quite valuable. The Tankman Luffy, another character that's he's just alright. Like, honestly, like, that Lucci, if I'm honest, like, I wouldn't even bother with the Lucci. Self-blocking condition, which is valuable, but it's probably one of the lower things you look for, because if they're immune to delay, you're probably never going to use it. As for the Tankman Luffy, he's actually a fairly good free-to-play option, if I remember correctly. He does a bunch of stuff for rainbow teams, and then he has a little bit of utility in his kit as well. He does a 1.5 times attack boost, and if the captain is Psy, he greatly boosts slot effects. Boosts the chain by 0.3 and adds 20 times tap timing in tap timing bonuses for 1 turn, and does a 40% damage reduction. So he's alright. Honestly, that's dropped off quite a bit. Nothing too crazy, nothing too flash. As for Burgess, this Burgess is good for fighter teams. Depending on how many units or how many enemies you're facing, it's dependent to how many turns of attack boost he will give to fighter characters, up to 6. And he does a little bit of a HP cut as well. So he's a great sub option for fighter teams, but like nowadays, like fighter teams just aren't all that. And it's very rare that you do see that six enemies. So look, I'm definitely going to bring him down. I'm going to bring Ivankov up just because how good he is in Rumble. I think just like the value of having him on a Rumble team is just better than all these characters. And he's definitely an option to be farmed up for teams if you guys are struggling there. Remember, free-to-play characters, they do take a lot less as well. Next, we've got Zoro. He is a must-farm ASAP. Probably one of the best free-to-play characters in the entire game. He has an amazing support. He has great utility, removing threshold, removing damage reduction. He's a Zoro character. He does color affinity, driven, and slashes. Absolutely fantastic. One of my most used free-to-plays as well. Definitely farm him up. Next, you got Kid. I would probably farm him up as well. He does end-of-turn damage for 3 turns. However, he has been completely replaced by this new kid, the new point farming kid that is out at the moment. However, this kid does cooldowns, and he starts with his special for shooter and striker teams. Very, very good option, and honestly, like, farm him up for your speed farming capabilities. Neptune is another character I would definitely farm ASAP. This guy was really, really good in Grand Voyage as well, so another reason that you should farm him out. 3 turns of an orb boost to Cerebrals and Powerhouse units. Removes 5 turns of resilience, does defense reduction. He's just an absolute demon of a unit. Definitely farm up Neptune. Also, he's a good XP booster if you guys are struggling there as a new player. Next, we've got Cracker. He is an amazing free-to-play character. He does a particular orb rotation that gives you a full board of Dex orbs, and it actually goes through block orbs, which is quite nice. But it also removes 5 turns of chain lock, which is very, very annoying. But not only does he make you make all your orbs Dex, he actually makes them matching as well. And then he does he reduces one enemy's HP by 20%, which is good if you need to put a support on him to like off the proc of using specials. Next, we've got Kuma. He's very, very niche. He will just insta-kill if the enemy has a below, like, I think it's like 100 times his attack or something like that, or 75 times his attack. But he also has a little bit of utility in his kit, which makes him a little bit usable, because it is special, thresholds and damage reduction for 3 turns. He also gives you recovery orbs, which can be useful for getting around stuff like hunger. And if you don't blow away the enemy's HP, if the current HP is 350 times less than his attack, he will just basically insta-kill them, as long as there's 2 or more enemies present and there's no, obviously, like, no blow away kind of thing. But if the enemy cannot be defeated, reduces enemy's HP by 20% instead. So, he's niche, but look, he's alright. As for Blackbeard, this Blackbeard, he's okay, nothing too flash. He does, he removes 1 turn of pretty much every single defensive effect. Threshold, defense up, damage null, barriers, resilience, healing, attack up, enrage. He removes it all by 1 turn. And if you're below 10% HP, sorry, you can't see this Blackbeard. If you're below 10% HP, he's a 2 times attack boost, which is actually pretty good. It's very rare you'll see that last part, but mainly what you use this guy for is the damage null removal. If you use him for anything. But damage null is just so uncommon that I definitely would put him down here in like great sub options when you need that particular niche ability. He's on a 9-turn cooldown though, so if you can like get your HP low, like he's definitely an option. Next, you've got Dofi. He is a amazing free-to-play character. He does something that not a lot of characters do. He extends your attack and orb boost by 2 turns, provided your captain is either driven or cerebral. It's honestly very, very rare you actually need this, so I'm probably going to bring him down a tier. But he has seen a lot of play in places where like you can't use an attack or orb boost on the final stage, and you need to actually just bring that in for driven and for driven and cerebral based teams. So he's a really cool character. He also changes slots randomly, including block slots, and locks them for 1 turn as well. So that's also something to note. The locking orbs can be very, very valuable as well. Next, we've got the Garuda Judge. He's definitely a farm ASAP unit. I don't think he's as good as these characters though. Mainly because he's a 2 times color affinity booster to Psi and Dex. He also removes chain lock, which is really, really valuable. Just like Cracker, the reason I put Cracker so high is there's not a lot of characters in the game that can actually do that. It can work against you though, because it can remove your chain locks, so be very, very careful of that. But he also removes chain coefficient reduction. But provided you have 3 Dex characters on the crew, he's going to double those slot effects. So make sure that you build your teams out with Dex if you need this guy to work. But he's a striker character, which makes him super, super valuable as well. Next, we've got Oven. I used to use Oven so much, but then he kind of dropped off super drastically. He's a fighter powerhouse that removes all slot cancelling altering effects that are placed on the crew, which is very, very valuable, and I totally forgot that he did that. But then he also deals strength damage to the enemy based on the number of type slots removed, and he changes all slots into their own type, and if there is immunity to delay, poison, or whatever, he boosts slot effects for strength, dex, and quick for 1 turn, and then if you hit 4 perfects, he greatly boosts them for 2 more turns after that. So Pretty valuable free-to-play character. Barrier Pen on a Powerhouse Fighter as well is super rare. And you can carry this into the next stage, so super, super nice. Magellan, Clash Magellan, or Coliseum Magellan, very, very valuable character. He's a self-procking conditional booster that can also remove Threshold and damage reduction, I think, by 2 turns. He has a 2-stage special, and then he also sets the enemy's defense to 0, whilst also inflicting Venom, which can help you get around Resilience. His Barrier Pen as well, he's a very, very good character. I definitely would farm him up, as there's been a lot of times where I've used him as an early game player. Nowadays, not so much, but definitely when I was starting out. Smoothie, she's a great sub option. She's color affinity to Powerhouse and Slashes, and she makes orbs matching, like a particular type orb. Nothing too crazy, but definitely not bad. As for Clash Ace, he's an amazing free-to-play character. Great for wave clearing and treasure map as well. He does Powerhouse and Free Spirits orbs. Plus, he has a very, very good support for Whitebeard and I think maybe Marco. Pika, he's just alright. He becomes your captain, and you basically just don't die when your Pika is captain for something like 3 turns. Next, we've got Katakuri, who is a self-procking conditional boost, and if you have multiple enemies, then Katakuri is definitely going to do that through immunity, which is very, very good. Not a lot of characters can actually do that, which makes him very, very valuable. He is delayed, but you need 4 enemies present. He doesn't do the condition, he just delays. However, he makes Powerhouse and Strikers type slots matching. So look, he's just alright. Like, the guaranteed delay can be used, but most of the time you just use Usopp for that. Clash Big Mom, an absolute treasure map god. You guys all know how good this unit is. She halves your HP. However much HP you halve, you do damage. She has double special. She works amazing in treasure map, especially when you put her on this guy's team. Fantastic character, but more of an end game character more than anything. As for Clash Brook, Coliseum Brook, look, he's alright. He's alright. He has double special activation, which actually makes him a lot better than what he is on paper. But he has a little bit of utility in his kit. He also reduces all enemies' HP by 15%. He nullifies damage from Int, provided you have 5 slashes on the team. Actually, I'm completely thinking of the other Brook now that I'm thinking about it. This Brook actually sucks. Like, he's just so bad. Like, we're gonna drop him into Don't Bother. Don't bother about this guy. Like, unless you need damage null to Int, then you might use this guy. But other than that, that is so niche, and I don't think I've ever used that Brook in my entire life. Clash Magellan Hannibal. Very, very good free-to-play character. 2 times color affinity booster to Int and Quick, and also has an interesting switch ability. The switch ability will allow you to, I think it's poison every single turn, and is that what it is? It reduces poison duration by 5 turns, and then changes character slot into their own type. So you can remove poison with their switch. Most of the time, you'll just use the Shiryu support nowadays, the free-to-play Shiryu, but this is pretty interesting. As long as your captain is Quick or Int, you get the color affinity by 2 times. You also poison the enemy and change all slots into Quick and Int, becoming Magellan and Hannibal for 2 turns, which is very, very valuable. The color affinity is really, really nice. Plus, they're a striker character. Dofi and Treble, another amazing free-to-play character. They have a great switch ability, and they also do a chain lock, which you can carry into the next stage. Nowadays, chain lock has been completely power crept by chain boundary, but this was really, really cool because not only do they do that, but they lock orbs, and it's a 3.25 times chain lock after you hit 4 perfects, which is super, super strong when it came out, and you can move slots 2 times. Their switch ability is actually really, really cool too. Changes a character slot into their own type, and then changes strength and dex into matching slot effects as well. So super, super nice switch ability there. Very, very interesting free-to-play character. Garp and Sengoku, they're alright. They give you a 1.3 times attack and orb boost to fighters every time you switch. But their special completely removes positive effects on your side of the field, which can be quite valuable. Not so much nowadays, but it definitely can be. Next, we have Morley. Morley, I want to put in farm ASAP, but like, the main area I think of using Morley is in Revolutionary Army 2. And once you do that once, like, you just don't need him anymore. However, if you guys are struggling with that, he's definitely a character that you guys can pick up there. He removes resilience and threshold by 5 turns, halves defense for 1 turn, and then boosts damage dealt to defense down by 1.75 for 3 turns. If you land 2 perfects, he then sets the defense to 0 on the next turn. So you can be I've got to put him up here in farm ASAP. Like, threshold removal, resilience removal, setting defense to 0 is amazing. 2-turn conditional booster into a new stage is just absolutely fantastic. Free Spirit as well, and a striker. So you guys know how good Free Spirit strikers are right now. As for Jinbei, he's a great sub option purely because he completely removes Threshold. He's one of the only characters that can do that. Plus, he also does a bit of a chain boost as well for cerebral teams. This Jinbei is a cerebral fighter, funny enough. This is a Jinbei that I thought would, like, when we got V3 Jinbei, would be very similar in classes. He has a 0.5 chain boost, massive reduces damage that exceeds 3,000. And if your captain is fighter cerebral, he can completely remove threshold, which is very, very unique. Next, we've got Colosseum Law, an absolute demon of a free-to-play character. 2 times attack boost to Cerebral and Slasher characters, which are very, very good. Plus, he has Special Bind removal by 4 turns and Attack Down removal. If you're above 50% HP, he does the attack boost, and if you're below 30%, he heals 70% of your maximum HP. He's a Law unit too, so you have a lot of very good supports. Next, we've got Lucci. He's an amazing free-to-play character. You can use this Lucci in many different ways. Well, when I say many, I mean 2. He came out alongside Bullet, and basically, if you have 4 or more strength characters, he's a color affinity booster, rainbow color affinity booster, doubling it. And if you have 3 or more quick or int characters, he reduces bind by 5 turns, damage reduction by 5 turns, and he rotates slots, including block, to strength, quick, and int no matter what. He also does 100,000 attack, 100,000 damage in attack damage, so you can do wave clearing shenanigans with him too, which is very, very nice. This Clash Sabo that also came out for the same celebration is a fantastic unit. Also removes attack down by 5 turns, and is a color affinity booster to quick, psi, and dex. No, quick, psi, and... No, what did I say? Strength, psi, and dex, not quick. Strength, psi, and dex. Yeah, that's definitely it. He also, like I said, he removes attack down, but he also removes burn by 5 turns, which is pretty valuable for free-to-play characters. But he also makes type slots have matching slot effects for those 3 colors, being Dex, Strength, and Sight. Yep, nailed it. Moving on to Clash Crocodile. This Clash Crocodile is another character you have to farm ASAP. Like, these 2 right here are characters that you have to farm. If you're an endgame player, you definitely want to farm this Big Mom too. As for these characters here, like, they're next in line. But Clash Crocodile is phenomenal. He removes 5 turns of Chain Lock on your crew, and then also rotates Empty Block and Bomb Orbs into matching. Sorry, he removes it by 8 turns. 8 turns of Lock Chain Multiplier. And if your captain is Cerebral or Striker, he sets the Chain Multiplier at 2.0, maxing at 35 times for 3 turns. Now, if you have a Super Class Crocodile, you're probably never going to use this guy too much. But if you don't, this guy is an absolute demon. A very, very good free-to-play character. Definitely farm him out, because even as an endgame player, I still religiously use this guy. Next, we've got this Clash Zoro. Look, he's a great sub option. He sets defense to 0. He can remove paralysis. I think in his Sailor, he can remove paralysis as well. But the reason he's quite valuable is he's a powerhouse Zoro, which there aren't too many of. So you can use him on a powerhouse team. He also has slot bind removal, and he can remove resilience by 4 turns too, which is it's actually pretty good. So nothing too crash hot, nothing too bad. As for the Clash Law that kind of came out for the Kaido, V1 Kaido event, he's not too bad. You can actually use this guy in Grand Party. In Grand Voyage. I have seen him used, funny enough. He can remove 2 turns of resilience, defense up, damage reduction, and if your captain is Dex or Psi, he's a 0.8 chain boost, and does 200,000 fixed damage to 1 enemy. So, nothing too, like, insane, but he is a pretty good sub option if you need something. This Hody, though, is an amazing free-to-play character. He removes 5 turns of special binds. I'm pretty sure it's Despair and Binds. He's a powerhouse striker character and reduces enemies' HP by 20%. But the bigger upside to this guy is you can use the Vanderdecken support. There's a free-to-play Vanderdecken that you can pick up from the for the friend point pools. And he removes 2 turns of bind and special bind and goes on Hody, which is so good because it makes this guy a 7-turn special bind and bind remover, which is so, so good. So definitely farm him up if you need a very good powerhouse or striker utility unit. A very, very good unit. Next, we've got Oars. Oars, look, he's just like, nothing too crazy about this Orbs. He goes on fighter teams. That's basically about it. Nothing too flash. He was used in... I did use him in content. He does attack down removed by 4 turns, defense up and threshold removed by 4 turns, and if you have 6 fighters, he extends the attack boost duration. Look, honestly, he's probably like a great sub option. 4 turns of defense up and threshold and attack down removal is quite nice. You definitely can use that. Like, that utility is actually pretty good. Next, we've got Carrot. Carrot is another great sub option. I keep getting this Carrot confused with the Strength Carrot from the Kazuna shop. But this Carrot basically gives herself a crazy amount of cooldowns. Whenever a int or quick character uses a special, it's 3 turns to herself, which is pretty nuts. And then she removes 3 turns of defense up, 3 turns of increased damage to yourself. And then she does an attack boost for int and quick by 1.75. And if you've used electrical charge drive in the turn. She's at 2.25, so you can get a pretty good attack boost with a free-to-play character here. Plus, she starts with her special. She gets herself a 10-turn cooldown, and then she's on, like, 12 turns to max out. So, very, very good free-to-play option. Kiyoshiro, honestly, nowadays, probably don't bother. Like, I wouldn't worry about this guy too much. Like, you're never really going to use him, like, at all. Next, you got Kobe Helmeppo. Can remove Threshold by 4 turns. Also, is an attack booster for Int and Psy. They're a good sub-option. They're definitely a good sub-option, but they're obviously carried by Slashes and Int and Psy characters being so freaking powerful. A Shuradoji, couldn't even tell you what a Shuradoji does, so I'm going to put them in Don't Bother. Shanks and Mihawk, honestly, I'm going to put them in amazing free-to-play, borderline farm ASAP, because this unit is so good in Grand Voyage. And for the value of them in Grand Voyage against Mihawk, I'm pretty sure it is, like, this unit is just so good. Like, they're just so freaking powerful. They're an Int Slasher, Int Cerebral, Int Free Spirit, Quicks. Yeah, you guys get what I'm saying. They remove Special One by 2 turns. They have a self-blocking conditional boost to delay. In most pieces of content, you won't use them, but in Grand Voyage, you definitely can use them. As for Soba Cook, absolutely amazing. Very, very good character. Can give cooldowns and is a Sanji unit. Honestly, I'd probably say an amazing free-to-play, not in the farm ASAP tier, but also does color affinity to Int and Dex units, plus a nice chunky heal as well. Sanji has some great supports. Next, you've got Bonnie, another amazing free-to-play character. She's so good for the Hawkins Forest. If you're struggling with the Hawkins Forest, finish out Bonnie and then take her in on a Free Spirit team. It's basically a cakewalk at that point. She is the cheat code to the Hawkins Forest. She removes 5 turns of defense up, 5 turns of threshold, gives you a full body recovery orbs, and gives you a 1.5 times extra recovery boost. And then you lock those recovery orbs and you're just Gucci from there. Next, we've got Komurasaki. She is a great sub option. She can remove Threshold, and she can remove Special Bind, I think it is. I know it's definitely Threshold. Damage reduction, Threshold, attack down, and bind by 2 turns, and heals 20%, and changes adjacent slots, including blocking to character's own type. Plus, she has double special activation, which makes her very, very good. I'm going to put her up here in amazing free-to-play character. Definitely farm her out once you finish this top line. Next, we've got Clash Bullet. This Clash Bullet's pretty good. Nowadays, he's probably just a great sub-option. He's a color affinity booster. He does rotates. No, he doesn't. That's the... I'm thinking of the support that goes alongside him. The Bonavista. He does color affinity to strength, quick, and psi characters, and does a HP cut, provided you have 6 strength, quick, or psi characters. It's the 2 times. If you don't, it's a 1.75. So, color affinity, it's kind of a weaker buff, but that bullet is quite a good option. Next, we've got Clash Jinbei. This Clash Jinbei, in my opinion, is just a better version of Super Type Sabo. The strength variation. He's a 2 times color affinity booster to strength characters. And he also does... I think he sets defense to 0 as well. Yeah, he sets defense to 0 and does 3 turns of attack down removal. Plus 100 times his attack and strength damage to all enemies. Provided your captain is strength, he's a 2 times color affinity booster to strength. He is literally just a better version of this Akainu down here. You can't see that. This Akainu right here, like, don't farm this Akainu, farm this Jinbei instead if you're looking for a strength color affinity boost. That also has some cheeky little utility in there. Next, we've got Dogstorm. Dogstorm is another farm ASAP. He's a orb. No, he's not. He's an attack boost. He's an attack boost to psi and strength. Can also remove Threshold. Plus, he's a Dogstorm character, so you have access to stuff like the Cat Viper supports and whatnot. Very, very good free-to-play character. The Threshold removal and the attack buff, I find, is the most valuable aspect of the character. But he can also remove Despair, and he does a 10% HP cut. The 2 times attack boost is so nice for a free-to-play character, though. Especially because Psi and Strength are both so freaking powerful. Next, we have Colosseum. Oh, she was this like event Rebecca. She's alright. She can extend your color affinity boost, but she also has some interesting utility in her kit as well. She is a cerebral character as well, but she also boosts the type effects of strength and psi characters by 1.5. If you land 3 perfects, she's a 1.75. She extends psi and strength. Sorry, if your captain is strength and psi, she extends the attack boost by 2 turns. So she's pretty niche, but she definitely can see some play if you need to extend your attack boost, and then you can just get color affinity with her as well. Next, we've got this Jesus Burgess. Honestly, he doesn't even have a limit break. I really like this Jesus Burgess, but like, he's just so weak, and I would love for them to give him a limit break for stuff like Super Tender Blackbeard. This Diamante, you're only ever going to use him as a support option. He has some orb manipulation, and that's literally about it. Next, we've got Clash Kaido. His Clash Kaido is actually fairly interesting, because he had a raid when he came out, down here. He had a raid when he came out, and he basically changes adjacent slots to character and type. And for 2 turns, boosts int character's attack by 2.25 after pulling off a 12-hit combo, as well as doing a 20% HP cut, up to 40% if there are more enemies present. But the 2.25 times attack boost after 12-hit combo is actually pretty good. Most of the time, you're not going to use it too much. You're probably going to use this carrot instead. However, if there are no normal attacks only, you definitely can get some pretty good damage with this particular Kaido. Next, we've got Kizaru. I love this Kizaru, man. You can pick 1 unit to get 2 turns of cooldown for, and he makes all orbs matching for strength and int characters, and then he does he doubles their slot effects for 1 turn. Super, super nice. Like, super, super cool character. He also has the limit break ability to start with his special, and he has barrier pen. Really, really cool unit. I love the fact you can pick a character for 2 turns of cooldown. He's on 11 turns. He's a free spirit, so you can use the 3 support. You can like pop his special on turn 1, then you just get it back by the final stage. So it's super fun. It's super fun. It's super funky. I like him a lot. Next, we've got Crocodile. I want to say this Crocodile is only a good support unit. Like, that's really the only thing I use him for. The problem with Crocodile, right, is there's so many int Crocodile units that, like, I can just never remember what they all do. He does a chain boost for as long as your captain is strength or int. He's a paralysis and despair removal by 5 turns. He changes block slots, and he reduces one enemy's HP by 10%. Not a bad character. I only use him for his support, where he boosts chain multiplier by 0.3. But his utility is actually pretty nice. Like, I'm going to put him up here next to these characters because I put them here for block orb manipulation. That's probably his big gimmick there, the block orbs, but also removing despair and paralysis can be useful for you newer players. Next, we've got Sobermask. Sobermask, he's just alright. He does a massive chain boost, but that's really about it. The downside to him is you have to use the special because you get a 0.5 chain boost. And if you have 3 or more dex characters on the crew, and you land 3 perfect strikes, you get a 1.1 times chain boost on the next turn. However, he does change adjacent slots to tandem, so that can be good for stuff like super tandem Luffy teams, because this guy is a free spirit unit. So there's definitely that, but like if you have super tandem Luffy and you're missing like some good dex Sanjis, like you definitely could use him. I don't think I would, but you definitely could use him. Next, we have Otoko. She's got some good support. She's alright. She can remove despair and stuff. Nothing too flash, nothing too crazy. She's okay. Next, we've got King. This King is definitely a self-proccing conditional booster. I know that for certain. It's to delay. I wanted to use this King so bad when he first came out, but I just never really found a use for him. He delays anybody's by 2 turns, and as long as your captain's dex, he does 1.75 times damage to delayed enemies, and reduces despair and defense up by 5 turns. I found the utility, it's not a good combination. Like, you never really see that combination. Plus, you obviously need to be able to delay for that to be good. But if you ever can get that off, it's a lot of damage. Like, it's a lot of free damage with a utility-based unit, which is nice. This Kuma was really only good alongside Sugar, which, like, could see a resurgence with a level limit break 6+. I'm just saying, so he's alright. I definitely wouldn't farm him up just yet, but if Sugar goes crazy, you definitely can. Gukimaru. This Gukimaru, he's a pretty good sub option. He can make orbs matching just like the Rayleigh can for 3 turns, but he also has paralysis and blind removal by 4 turns and damage reduction removal, which makes him quite nice. So if you need that orb manipulation and some utility, like he's a pretty interesting character. Next, we have Orochi. Orochi is another great sub option. I find this Orochi just to be better than the 5+ Orochi, which is actually wild. He does an 80% HP cut to yourself, and then he removes blind and paralysis by 8 turns, and completely removes attack up, enrage, in auto heal, and end of turn damage on the enemy, and then doubles cerebral and driven characters plus powerhouse characters attack with 1 turn. He's actually really, really good. Mainly because like you can get around stun with this guy. Stun removers are basically non-existent in the game, and the easiest way to do it is to do like damage to yourself. But 8 turns of bind and paralysis removal for a free-to-play character, holy! And they're 2 of the most annoying abilities. Mainly bind. But, like, if you need a very good blind remover for your driven cerebral teams, like, this guy is definitely an option for you. Plus paralysis, which is super nice. This Brook right here is the one that I was thinking about earlier. The one that has double special activation. This guy's not that bad. He can remove special blind by 3 turns and threshold. And if enemies are delayed, he does a condition against delayed enemies, but by 1.75. And if they aren't delayed, he can delay. So, self-proccing conditional boost with double special activation. The downside to this guy is he only has 3 turns of special blind on himself. So, getting the 6 turns, you do need supports to make that work. So, for that reason, he's a great sub option. But he definitely is a very, very good if you have something like, there's an Nami that does like 3 turns of cooldowns. He's a free spirit slasher, he's a Brook character, like, makes him quite valuable there. Next, we've got Okiku. This Okiku is so good. Like, she is so good. She's an orb booster. She's a driven Okiku, which is, like, unheard of. She does an orb boost, provided you're above a certain amount of HP. If you're not, she's a lower orb boost, so no matter what, you're getting an orb boost. Plus, she can also remove bind by 5 turns and damage reduction by 5 turns, which I do believe that you see quite a lot. She's a strength slasher and she's a driven character. The driven tag makes her incredibly valuable, so farm her up. Next, you got Colosseum page 1. I'm going to stick him in the back of farm. This guy is like a must for Grand Voyage at Orangetown versus Luffy, Zora, and Nami. Like, he's just a must bring. Like, he's so, so good. He's a 40 cost character, which makes him so freaking powerful. He's a chain locker, plus he's a driven unit, which makes him awesome. And he's int as well. He also can remove 5 turns of chain lock as well, which is very, very good. He does an 80% damage reduction to yourself, which is super, super nice. And depending on how many times you've used other characters' special, he's up to a 3.5 times chain lock if you've used 5 or more specials. So if he's last in the turn to use a special, he's a 3.5. Otherwise, he's a 3.25. If you're struggling with that Grand Voyage at Orangetown, make sure to farm this guy up. Next, we've got Nami and Shinobu. They're a color affinity booster to shooters and cerebrals. No, shooters and free spirit characters. And they can also give that carryover buff as well. I'm pretty sure they have Barrier Pen, which is quite nice. And, sorry, free spirit and cerebral, not shooters. They remove bind and despair by 2 turns too. And they boost the chance of landing on their own type. And also change block slots other than T&D and recovery into matching slots. And then they boost normal attacks by 1.75 and then again by 1.75 after 1 turn. Look, for just the standing of like block lock manipulation, I'm going to put them up here. But they're definitely at the back end of this tier list that you guys should be farming up first. Next, we've got Clash Luffy. This Clash Luffy is so good. Like, I love, like, this Clash Luffy does not get enough love. He can remove special binds and he is an attack booster. If I remember correctly. Maybe he's an orb booster. I know he definitely is a special bind removal as a free spirit fighter. He also removes burn by 5 turns, and he does boost attacks by 1.75. And if you land 3 perfects, he does a 2 times orb boost in the next turn. Fantastic free-to-play character. And he's a Luffy. Like farm this guy up. Like, he's actually awesome. Next, we've got, is it Clash Marco? He's alright for free spirit teams. He does a lot of healing. But other than that, like, you're not really going to use him for anything else. He does give some sort of buff. I just can't remember off the top of my head what it is. He removes burn and recovery down though, and he boosts slot effects by 1.75. Makes it easy to hit perfects for 1 turn, and heals based on the number of free spirit characters on the crew, maxing at 70% if you have 6 free spirit characters. So that's very easy to do. Look, that's not bad. Like, he's a great sub option. Yeah, he's a great sub option for free spirit teams, I suppose. Next we have this Nami. Sanji, I don't know, Nami, Sanji, whatever you call her. She's alright, mainly because you can use her for a captain swap, or him for a captain swap. You have 5 turns of special bind removal, 5 turns of resilience, and you're a chain booster. And then you swap into the captain and changes all slots to recovery, cutting the crew's HP by 70%, which is also another very, very good option for resilience removal. Sorry, stun removal. And as a captain, if you swap in, boost free spirit and fighter characters attack by a further 2 times on top of the doubling already. So you basically become a 4 times captain, 2 free spirit and fighters if you switch in, and makes recovery matching. So you have that ability there to heal back with the recovery orbs. It's a very, very good option, and most of the time I would use this to remove your stun, but the most time you would use this to get around the captain swap annoyance. And it's actually very, very valuable. So I'm going to put them in the back end of amazing free-to-play. Because of how niche that ability is. You don't need it that much. Special bind removal is quite nice as well, to be honest. But very, very good free-to-play unit. Next, we have the Sea Monster. The Sea Monster is an amazing free-to-play character. You can get an orb boost at 1.75 for Psy and quick units. And then if you hit a certain amount of perfects, you carry it into the next stage. Any character that can just carry something in is so good. On top of that as well, you have defense up removal by 4 turns, as well as a HP cut, which means you can use stuff like the Smoker Swap for an attack boost, as well as removing Threshold by 4 turns as well. So you do 5,555 damage as well, so it's also nice to kill like mob units that have massive defense. Buggy's Delivery. Buggy's Delivery is an interesting character because you want to use this character on Alvida's, against Luffy at Grand Voyage. 2 turns of Bind, Despair, Paralysis, Special Bind, Attack Down, Removal, changes block bomb, recovery 10 into character zone slots, and then double slot effects. They're quite good. Like, they're definitely at the back end here. They're a rainbow orb boost, which is awesome. They can rotate block, bomb, recovery, tandem slots, and they have utility. Like, that's actually pretty good. Like, I'm gonna put them up here because, like I said, any character that can remove block orbs for free to play, definitely a character you want to farm up. And honestly, out of these characters here, this one here is probably the one you want to do the most because you get the highest orb boost. Very similar to Kuma, you're just gonna find this character on your driven shooter teams, rainbow teams. This Kuma has better classes, but this Buggy definitely does a better orb boost, so that's definitely an option for you there. Next, and we're getting closer to the end, chat. We're getting close to the end. I thought this one would be faster, but like definitely not. Next we got Morgans. He does bind and despair removal by 2 turns, plus he has double special activation. I really like this Morgans. He's very, very good, and he's the only Morgans representation we have in the entire game. He boosts the chance of landing on your own orbs, and also removes special bind despair by 2 turns, and changes orbs unless they're matching. He's on a 9-turn cooldown. He's fairly good, but honestly nowadays he's probably just a great sub option. He was really, really good for Lucci teams, if I'm completely honest. You just basically got matching orbs galore with him. Brook's like Brook was super interesting because he came out alongside Boa and Perona. These are the point farm units, by the way, that we've just sort of moved into. He does like a HP cut if you are above a certain amount of HP. So if you're above 61%, he cuts 60% of the crew's maximum HP, sets his own special charge to max, reduces damage taken by 50%, and if you have an attack boost, he becomes a 1.75 times orb boost. Otherwise, he boosts the attack boost. So the idea of this unit is you could get an attack boost, then you can get an orb boost, and you can do a HP cut, which means you can get around stuff like stun, which is actually pretty good. And alongside verse Yamato now, that becomes a 1.5 times extra damage as well because you have that 50% damage reduction. So that's actually pretty nice if you put him under versus Yamato, to be honest. Like, that's some pretty cool stuff. You get an attack boost, you get an orb boost. So say you use Yamato on turn 1, and then on the next turn when you have her, like, her buff, you just go bink with Brook, and you get an attack boost, you get an orb boost, and you get a 1.5 times extra damage with the Yamato damage reduction buff. Fairly interesting, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I was going to put him in there alright, but, like, honestly, the more I think about it under versus Yamato, this guy, with, like, a versus Yamato friend captain, if you don't have your own, could be a very, very good free-to-play unit for you. Very, very good. These point farming units, by the way, they are stereotypically some of the better units in the entire game as well. Moria, Mr. Moria, he is a driven powerhouse unit, and he can reduce barrier by 1 turn, as well as resilience and defense up. He then doubles driven characters and driven and powerhouse characters slot effects by 1 turn, and then if your captain is driven or powerhouse, he does like a venom effect. It was a bit weird for this character when he first came out. He's just you're never going to run him over Legend Moria for driven powerhouse teams, so he kind of like struggles there. But if you do need a driven powerhouse orb booster, which you don't really need because driven powerhouse have so many good orb boosting characters, King, Akainu, Moria, like you don't really need him too much. But like, look, he's just aight. Next we have the Big Mom, the Orion Olin. She's actually amazing. She can remove beneficial effects on your crew, and she rotates orbs into either Super Bomb, Semla, or Wano slots, or Recovery. And then she allows you to freely swap slots 2 turns and boost slot effects by 1.75. So getting the block orb manipulation is awesome. And then basically you can just give whatever characters you want the best orbs that you get. If you get Wano orbs, you just give them to the best characters on your crew, and then you're just absolutely Gucci from there. So definitely a farm ASAP unit, mainly for the removing positive effects. That's where you're going to see most of the play with this unit. But just getting those Wano orbs as a free-to-play character is super, super nice. Next, we've got Jack. Most of the time, I use this Jack as a support, honestly. Like, other than that, I don't really have any use for this Jack. He goes on Kaido characters, as well as King and Queen for an 80% defense down removal, and then changes the character's support into their own type whenever they use a special. Shout out to my girl, Super Sugo Robin. Basically the same effect, right? No, not at all. But his special sets defense to 0 for 1 turn, makes crew's sight into recovery tandem slots have matching slot effects for 1 turn, then sets the chain multiplier at 3.25 for 3 turns, and sets it at 2.75 for 3 turns if the enemy does not have a barrier. So if the enemy has a barrier, he's a good chain lock. If not, then he's not so great. However, he reduces his own cooldown by 1 turn every time a powerhouse or fighter character uses a special. Plus, he can't be blown away, which is really, really good for GARP's challenges. He's a great sub option, but most of the time, like, to get his full effectiveness, you need barriers, which is a little bit hard to do. Next, we've got Sasaki, another character that I pretty much just use as a support unit. He can do a 30% damage reduction, and he's a free spirit character that goes on X-Ray Page 1 Ulti Black Mirror and Who's Who. Like I said, 30% HP, damage reduction whenever the enemy, whenever that character uses a special. Otherwise, as a unit, he's going to remove additional damage and despair by 5 turns, changes powerhouse and free spirit character's own type, reduces damage taken by 25% for 10 turns, and if the crew has damage reduction status, when the special is launched, he doubles free spirit and powerhouse character slot effects by 1 turn. Overall, not a bad free-to-play character, but like to get his effectiveness, you need damage reduction, and he's obviously built around damage reduction. The 25% for 10 turns is whatever, like it can get blown away. It's really not that good. But his support, definitely very, very good. Like I honestly am just going to put him there, because like otherwise you can use him in other ways, but as a new player, you're not going to, and as an end game, you're only going to use him as a support unit, if I'm completely honest. Next we've got Clash Jinbei. Clash Jimbo is interesting. He has double special activation, and we totally forgot that Clashes even existed when this guy actually came out. He also can remove burn by 3 turns, and he removes paralysis by 3 turns. If the enemy has defense down status, then he doubles damage to defense down. Otherwise, he sets it to 0 for 1 turn. With double special activation, he cuts the crew's HP by 50%, which is good for getting around stuff like stun. He's just fantastic. Can remove damage reduction as well. Self-proccing conditional boost to defense down is absolutely insane. Very, very good unit. And out of all the characters that can give you that stun removal, this is the character that I would use the most, because most of the time, if an enemy has some sort of ability that you can do to them, it is defense down, and a defense down conditional boost is way better than any other conditional boost in the game. He's a fighter powerhouse unit with double special that can remove some really, really good utility. Definitely farm him up. He's definitely a unit that you definitely want to pick up. Just looking at this tier here, I think everyone here is, yeah, they're all pretty good there. Moving on to Kaido. This guy was called the best free-to-play character when he first came out, and he's definitely amazing. He's an amazing attack boost to driven and powerhouse characters at 2.5 times. Yes, you heard that right. This guy is a 2.5 times attack boost to driven characters, and if the captain is a driven class, deals 200 times his attack and quick damage at the end of the turn, for 2 turns, also removes 5 turns of special blind and changes character slot into their own type, but it also increases damage taken to yourself by 3 times for 4 turns. So you can remove that, but like the 2.5 times attack boost is pretty much where this guy shines. Plus he has 10 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest. You're basically going to start with this guy's special. He's very, very good. And he'll find a way onto your driven teams if you are looking for a very, very good attack booster. The final 2 characters are Ulti and Kid Law. Now, these 2 characters aren't in the Recollective Archive yet. Kid Law are available right now as a free-to-play character, but when they do hit the Recollective Archive and you are watching this video, this will give you an idea whether you guys should actually pick them up. Now, Ulti is interesting, right? She's pretty much the same as the Treasure Map Ulti, but she has some utility in her kit. She can remove Threshold by 5 turns, changes the top row into matching slots, does a 1.0 chain boost, and then if you hit 3 perfect, she boosts the chain by 1.2 the next turn. But she also deals 40 times the amount of damage accumulated received before the special is launched, maxing at 5 million damage. This is basically Legend Enel, like his damage output, but just like better. Like it's just better. Amazing free-to-play character, honestly. Like the chain boost by hitting perfects is basically just a better version of this Sober Mask right here, and is also a powerhouse character. Most of the time you will be using her on sort of like powerhouse teams for some chain boosting stuff. You'll pretty much be using her for her utility and that attack damage, but if you can get off that 5 million, like that's definitely something to note as well. Very, very good free-to-play unit for newer players, and chain boosting is quite niche, let alone getting it over 2 turns. The final character to talk about is actually Kid and Law. Now, Kid and Law are, in my opinion, the best point farmed unit in the entire game, and it is not even close. These guys, I should say, are so freaking cool. I love running this particular character. I maxed them out. I hit them up with cotton candy. I did all the good stuff to them. If your captain is Cerebral or Striker, they set the chain multiplier at 2.25, maxing at 10 for 3 turns. They are basically just a better version of this Crocodile because they're Cerebral Strikers. Like, they literally just replace Crocodile. Like, it's wild. Obviously, their chain multiplier doesn't go as high as Crocodile's, and they don't have that chain lock, like, utility, but it's so freaking nice because getting to a 10 times chain multiplier is very, very difficult to do. It's almost unheard of unless you run something like Sugar. But not only that, but they also change the growth rate of normal attacks by up to 0.4. So if you hit a perfect, instead of getting 0.3, you actually get 0.4, which means you get an extra 0.6 on top of your chain boosting. They start at 2.25 as well, which means that you end up getting an extra 2.85 by the end of your chain just with this unit. Not only that, and that's for 3 turns, by the way. Not only that, but they also do end of turn damage. They do damage, which is great for wave clearing. They're fantastic. Honestly, in my opinion, they're just the best point farming unit in the entire game. In my opinion, on the tier list, I think this Zoro is probably going to be your most valuable. But they're not far behind, honestly. Like, they're not far behind. Unfortunately, they're not in the Recollective Archive right now as of January 10th. 2023, but when they do, farm them up. They're available right now on the island though, so like farm this character up if you haven't done so already. But that's gonna wrap it up. Finally, the free-to-play character tier list for the Recollective Archive is done. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. It was a very long video. Once again, I was trying to not make it so long, but nevertheless, it ended up being so anyway. But let me know your thoughts and opinions. If I glossed over anything, endgame players, please let me know in the comment section below. New players, hopefully this gives you guys an idea. Definitely the farm ASAP and the amazing free-to-play tier are the ones that you guys want to focus on first for the reasons that I mentioned. As for your great sub options, these are going to be some really good subs for specific teams. And I would just farm them up when you need them, or if you're just looking for something to do. They are, like, these characters aren't really going to see too much play per se, but definitely could have some sort of resurgence somewhere or be used in a particular area. Next, we've got just support, and that's it. And then finally, don't bother. Like, these characters, like, just don't even worry about them at all, unless you need to do them for stuff like the free-to-play missions. Like, you got to do like 5, like you got to just beat Clash Mihawk and beat Clash Garp and stuff like that. Other than that, like I said, you want to start at the top here. Hopefully, this gives you guys a better idea as a new player which free-to-play characters you want to pick up. These characters up here, I still all use. Like, I still use these characters to this day. Honestly, even some of these characters here in the right situation, I definitely use as well. So I would highly recommend farming out these characters. But like I said, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you're a new player, hopefully it helped. If you're an old player and I missed anything, please let me know. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Belt the like button, belt the subscribe button for me, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.